Welcome to this demonstration of TidyStock. We'll be giving you an overview of the TidyStock system and all its functionality to help you manage your inventory from order to dispatch and more. When you open up TidyStock, you'll see 5 tabs along the top. I'll start by briefly introducing each one before going into depth. Under the Home tab, we've got the Inventory dashboard, which shows a summary of our business and how it's going. We can see our profitability and margins grouped by material category. We've also got a stock level warning screen, where you can easily reorder items that are running low on stock. Under the Sales and Purchases tab, you can see a list of sales and also create a new one. Next to this, you can see the purchase orders list and create a new purchase order. The Inventory tab shows all our materials in the system and the stock reorder screen. Under the Reporting tab, we can create reports on the business. And under Global Settings, we have a lot of other company settings which we'll go into shortly. Now that we've been through all the tabs, we'll dive into each area in more depth. Let's go into our material inventory to look at our list of material items. You might also refer to these as stock or products, but in TidyStock we call them materials or items. Each item must be part of a material category, which you can set up over here. This is just a way to categorise your stock, and these can also be mapped to different revenue, expense and stock on hand accounts in your Xero accounting system. Under the material items list, this is where you can set up each individual material item. You can also import these in bulk via a spreadsheet in the Import/Export section. Each item must have a unique code identifier and name. Codes can be up to 25 characters, and if you hover over the question mark icon, you can see what special characters you can use. Select which material category it belongs to here. Then choose the usage and pricing unit. The material might be measured per item, per centimetre, per foot, per kilo, and so on. Set up the item's unit cost and charge. The cost is how much you pay to suppliers, and the charge is how much you charge to customers. Over here, we've got the stock level. We can set up a reorder level and a maximum level for each location that this material item is stored at. We have this concept in TidyStock of managed and unmanaged stock. Down here, you can see that some items have 3 blue boxes next to them. This icon indicates that they are managed items. The difference between managed and unmanaged items is that the managed items are treated as stock on our balance sheet. This means that the value of managed items is accounted for under the current asset account of inventory in our Xero accounting system. For managed items, you can also see a full audit history of the item's transactions. On the other hand, unmanaged items are treated as expense items. This means that when you purchase them, they are immediately expensed and are not tracked through the asset account in Xero. We can also do a stock level adjustment on managed items. Doing this sends a stock adjustment journal entry through to our Xero accounting system. The stock level of unmanaged items can be simply overtyped. These items are usually more controlled, so we can just change the stock level as we go. You can think of unmanaged items as those that you don't want to track as stock in your system, for instance. You might want to have them as service items. For example, a labour charge or freight charge can be set up as unmanaged items in TidyStock. So that's material items. Now let's move on to Assemblies, the Assemblies functionality. You can think of an assembly as a top-level item that has a list or a recipe of components that go into the manufacturing of the final item. The process of creating an assembly starts off the same as creating a material item. Give it a code and a name and so on. But here, once you're done, click on Components to bring up the list or recipe of components needed to build this assembly item. Also, add the quantity of each item needed to build one unit of the assembly, along with any wastage. Then it flows through. The total cost, charge, and quantity of each component item gives you a suggested total charge for the assembly. We can override this if we want, and then save. Now when we click the green Assemble button, it shows the components and their available stock levels. If the stock level appears red, that means we don't have enough of that component to create the assembly. But if we go on and proceed with the assembly, the stock level of this assembly item will increase, and the stock levels of the component items will decrease. Next up, let's take a look at locations and stock transfers. You can think of locations as warehouse locations or different sites or stores. You can transfer stock between locations by clicking here. Add the items you want to transfer, then select a source location and a destination. The last tab we have on this section is Custom Pricing, where we can set up custom prices for materials. For example, if you wanted to have different retail and wholesale prices, you can use this. If we hop back to the stock item we created earlier, we can see that the unit charge was $20. That's the standard unit charge. If we click into Custom Pricing here, we can choose to make it $15 for retail and $10 for wholesale. You can also add quantity breaks, which are like tiered discounts for bulk purchasing. If we set a quantity break of 10, this means that when customers buy 10 or more of this item, they pay a lower price per unit. Lastly, we can also set up customer overrides, which are special custom prices for particular customers. These pricing levels, quantity breaks and custom prices are applied when we create a sale, which we'll go into now. Let's go through the process of creating a sale in TidyStock from start to finish when a customer places an order. We'll look at how to put it on back order, purchase stock in, and then do the final invoice. Add a customer to this sale by searching for their name or customer code, or by clicking on the magnifying glass to bring up a list. You can add a customer contact and reference here. Also add the delivery address and any special delivery instructions if needed. Click More Settings to expand. You can add an internal description for the order and an invoice note. Choose your currency and the pricing level, which we set up before. Now let's add items to this order. Click the magnifying glass to bring up your material items list, or just search for its code or name. You can add as many items as you like to the sale. As you add items, some data about them will appear on the right. This shows the current stock level, how much you have on order, the quantity and draft sales, and predicted availability. I can save this sale as a draft, quote, or order. Save as order saves the sale and creates a back order. If I click Save and Invoice, this saves the sale information and sends it through to Xero to create an invoice. At that same time, it's also going to deduct the items from stock and send a stock adjustment journal through to Xero. If we don't have enough stock to make a sale, we can also save and invoice the sale without dispatching stock. This means that the invoice is still sent through to Xero, but stock doesn't get moved at this point. But let's put this order on backorder for now by clicking Save as Order. That brings up this view, where we can edit the sale and also print out a packing slip. What we'll do next is head over to our stock level warning screen under the Inventory tab. You might come in here once a day, once a week, or whenever you do your stock reordering. It shows you items that are running low on stock and how much you need to reorder. Here you can see each item's maximum stock level and reorder level. For an item to appear on this screen, it must have a reorder level set up. Then TidyStock does the maths to help you figure out how much to reorder. It calculates a recommended reorder level based on the information shown here. What we currently have on hand, purchase orders we've sent to the supplier but haven't received yet, sales that are on backorder, and the reorder level you set up. This screen can be filtered by supplier and location. You can then select the items you want to reorder and click here to create a purchase order quickly and easily. This brings you to the new purchase order screen. The location, supplier, material items and quantity to be ordered are already filled out for you. You can add a delivery address, notes and make edits. This order can be saved as a draft, as approved or as sent. If it's saved as a draft, you can still edit the order, but you can't receive or email it. Once it has been approved, it cannot be edited or received, but can be emailed. Once the order is saved as sent, it can be received in. You can also go to your purchase orders list and filter orders by date or supplier. Now, if we click the orange truck icon, it takes us into the Receive Order screen, where we can bring the goods into stock. Once we confirm the receipt of this order, that information will be sent through to Xero, and it'll create a supplier invoice or a supplier bill. That's why we've got the invoice status at the top here. I can select Invoice Received, then add the invoice number, the invoice date, and when it's due. Here, I can put in some landing costs. If we've got supplier added landing costs on our invoice, we can put them in here. These landing costs will be passed on to the value of stock. This is optional, but if you do want to pass on landing costs to your stock value, you can do so here. You can also adjust the quantity received and the cost per unit here. You might need this if the cost has changed or if you received a different quantity to what you ordered. You can use this to do a partial receipt if you've only received part of your order. Then click Proceed and confirm this receipt. We've now received this item into stock, as indicated by the green truck icon. Now, if we were to search for this item in our material items list, we can see its history, showing this order and the change in units. Great! So now that we've got stock, we can head back to our sale that we initially put on backorder. We can edit the sale and click the Save and Invoice button. What that does is send the sale information through to Xero to create an invoice and remove the items from stock. Here, I can download the invoice and email a copy to the customer. You can also download a packing slip for this order. This is what our standard packing slip looks like, but it can all be customised under the Templates section of Global Settings. That's been the main workflow for purchasing in stock and selling it on. It's a pretty simple stock system, but it does a lot. I'll now go into some of our other settings and reports. Under the Reporting tab, this is where we've got the default suite of reports that we offer. We have a sales summary, which can be filtered by item or by customer over a time period. We've got the sales by material, which is more focused on the material item itself and its margins. The sales order summary shows you a summary of stock that's on back order. If you want to pull up a report showing you the current value of stock on hand at a particular point in time, for example, for a stock take, you can use this one. Use the purchase order report to see your purchase order history and the stock history report for more stock history. Now let's head over to Global Settings and take a look at Users. This is where you can add users or edit permissions. Give the user a login type, ID and password. Give them a first name, last name and display name. Also choose their department and enter their contact email. Roles are related to the user's permissions, which shows what they can and can't see or do within the software. In your TidyStock subscription, users will be billed as either team users or manager users. If either of these two permissions are ticked, they will be billed as a manager user. Resource administrators are responsible for adding and managing users. System administrators are responsible for everything else under Global Settings. However, to access the Xero connection, they must also have the invoicer permission selected. If a user doesn't have either of the manager permissions ticked, they are a team member. Invoicers can invoice out sales invoices, while a salesperson can create sales. As you can see, as we click on the salesperson permission, these sub-permissions pop up. If you want them to be able to edit and view all pricing information, click the first checkbox. If you want them to be able to view and edit the charge price, but not the unit cost, click the bottom checkbox. You can also choose whether they can view the inventory dashboard. Purchasers can generate purchase orders. You can also choose whether they can approve and send purchase orders. If you want a team member to be able to create a purchase order but not approve it, select this permission for them. Then somebody else, like a manager, with this permission selected, can review and approve the order later. These permissions are helpful because once orders are approved, they're emailed and sent to the supplier, which you might not want all team members to be able to do. Let's take a quick look at some of the other settings now. Add and edit departments here. They might be management, warehouse, sales, purchasing and so on. Each user must be assigned to a department. Suppliers are found over here. They're a little bit different to customers because we don't offer an import of suppliers from Xero. However, you can import them via a spreadsheet in the Import/Export section. We've got currencies over here, which is where you can add and edit currencies. We don't offer a live exchange rate feed at this point, so you do have to update each exchange rate manually. The templates section is where you can create your own custom templates for quotes, packing slips and purchase orders. Download a template, then customise it using our template codes. You can find these codes on our help documentation site, Tidy Academy. Then click New Template and upload your customised file. Import/Export is where you can download or export template spreadsheets for customers, suppliers, material items, prices and users. Add or edit them in the spreadsheet, then import all of the information back into TidyStock in one go. Lastly, let's go over the company settings. You can edit your company name, upload your logo and add some contact information. Under the Sales and Purchases section, set up defaults for sales tax and invoice due dates. You can also add your postal address, payment terms, and some other purchase order information here. Under the Advanced tab, we've got our automatic numbering. Your sales and purchases are automatically numbered, but you can choose to start them from a set number here. That's all for today's demo. We've covered quite a lot of ground, so let's summarise. We started off by learning how to add material items and assemblies to our TidyStock account. Then we created a sale and put it on backorder. We used the stock level warning screen to create a purchase order and received it in. Next, we went back to the sale and invoiced it out. The stock was dispatched and a stock adjustment was sent through to 0. After that, we looked at reporting and some general settings in relation to customers, suppliers, the Xero connection and more. We hope you found this demo informative and that it provided you with a valuable overview of TidyStock. If you have any questions or you would like to learn more, please feel free to reach out to our team via the chat function on our website or flicking us an email. Thanks again, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.